Probably by 2006.
Yeah.
I think we were the biggest site on the internet, like bigger
Really?
than Google, bigger than Yahoo.
So you were #1 like Alexa ranking.
Yeah, I don't remember what day it was, but I remember when we got the news, I'm like, I can't fathom that we're bigger than Google.
Before seeing how many followers someone had on Twitter, before worrying how many people liked your most recent Instagram photo, before seeing how many people saw your latest snap, before Facebook was even a thing, there was MySpace.com.
How many per day? How many people per day come on this social networking portal?
It's really become the first worldwide community that's out there, but we're adding about 300,000 new people a day.
How many friends do you officially have now?
I think we're up to 175 million.
For your official friends?
Yeah.
MySpace was more than just a social networking website. It was the social networking website that kickstarted the Web 2.0 experience we know of nowadays and paved the way to the popularity of online celebrities, garnering well over 100 million active users and was eventually valued at $12 billion. This wasn't just a fad, this was the start of the internet as we know it. This was the pioneer to social media. This was the start of a new internet sensation. This was MySpace.
When it began, I didn't have these super high aspirations for it. I'm like, well, it's kind of just throwing junk at the wall. Like, it was just another thing I was trying. But literally within a month, maybe shorter, I'm like, wait a second, this will change the world. Like, this is a major thing.
In 2002, a website called Friendster was launched and was the first real social networking platform that became mainstream, who in its first 3 months gained around 3 million users.
Friendster. It is one of the fastest growing sites on the internet with millions of registered users so far. Why so popular? Because it shows the world is not such a big and unfriendly place after all.
However, the company didn't have a real handle on the technological side of the website, leading to slow loading times and undeveloped features. This sparked the interest in a couple of employees from eUniverse, a company who specialized in email marketing, and they decided to copy the best features from Friendster in order to replicate its core concept with the website MySpace.com. Yeah, they pretty much just ripped off the website. It was a simple idea where you could create a profile, add your friends, and set your status to whatever it was you were doing. You could post some bulletins for people to see, look through other people's photos and friends, and most importantly, tweak your top 8. The top 8 was brutal. It forced people to rank their friends and family in a public medium to show where they stand on your social ladder. Were you in someone's top 8? What rank were you? Should you put them at the same rank? What if out of your friends you weren't even in the top 4? What if you weren't even in their top 8? Just imagine the implications this would have nowadays if the top 8 was still a thing. If Jake Paul were to take someone off of his top 8 and put a new person on there, people would flip their fucking shit. Regardless, the website was a huge success, boasting 75 million unique visitors a month, with its peak reaching over 100 million accounts, and at a point had over 1 billion registered users.
Like the Tom account, the famous Tom account was not 17. That one was something like 7,000. So it took us, 7,000 signups for me to realize, hey, I gotta be in there, and I gotta be the person that connects everybody.
Do you know who that is? Not this guy, that's Ty Lopez, but this guy right here, that's Tom Anderson, one of the founders of MySpace. You see, the entire project for the website was headed by Brad Greenspan, Chris DeWolf, Josh Berman, and everyone's best friend, Tom Anderson. But you probably know him better as MySpace Tom. If you ever owned a MySpace page, you knew who Tom was. He was the default friend everyone started out with on the website, and people drooled over how many friends the guy had on his profile. On Friendster, you had to know somebody that knew somebody else in order to even see their profile. On MySpace though, everyone was connected to one person, Tom. He was the catalyst that let you see who else was on the website so you could start building a connection with them, and every single one of those people could easily tell you who this person was. This single photo is hands down the most recognizable profile picture on the internet. There was even a time that Urban Outfitters sold a t-shirt with the picture on it. Now that might not be a form of validation, so I sent out a simple survey online, and out of over 2,000 entries, 58% of the respondents said that they had seen the image before, 60% could recognize who he was, and 75% of them never even owned a MySpace account. Now you could say that Tom was the first online celebrity, but if we're being honest, he was more of just the face of the company. The real title for the first online celebrity goes to the infamous Tila Tequila.
I think I love you, so don't don't think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but if you ever hurt me, I'll fucking kill you. You better go down when you get with me.
Yeah, well, that's about how much I can take. Before MySpace, online celebrities weren't really a thing. YouTube didn't exist until 2005, Twitter wasn't until 2006, and Instagram launched in 2010. So really, MySpace was the only big website that tracked just how popular you were. And the person at the head of that ship was Tila Tequila.
You were basically one of the kind of original social media celebrities.
Yeah, I was literally the first person to kind of catapult social media into what it is today.
Her career first took off when she started modeling for companies like Playboy and multiple import racing magazines. If you walked by a magazine stand in the 2000s at your local AM/PM, chances are you've probably seen Tila Tequila on the front cover of some kind of magazine. As she started to gain popularity, Tila decided to start a Friendster account in order to connect with her fans. Unfortunately, the website didn't really enjoy the risque photos she was posting and would constantly ban her from the website.
People know Tila Tequila, like she was one of the first like internet models. And on Friendster, they kept deleting her. I went to those accounts, Tila, and I'm writing them and saying, hey, come on over to MySpace. We won't delete you. You can have as many friends as you want.
This was the biggest push that MySpace had when it was first starting, because at the time they were just sending out mass chains of emails to their mailing list that contained around 20 million addresses and poaching users from Friendster message boards in order to gain traction. So when they were able to snag Tila into their social network, the company started to snowball out of control. Before Tila Tequila joined the website, the platform was mostly used as a way to connect with your friends, but after Tila's growing success on MySpace, it quickly became the birth of Web 2.0.
I said there's something here in this web thing where it's going to become much more than it is. It's not just going to be this publishing kind of phenomenon. And that in particular, it was about databases that get better the more people use them.
Before MySpace, this is what the internet looked like. Mostly just static websites and maybe a handful of forums. But then came the wave of Web 2.0 and it became a culture of you.
I really like a lot of you guys on here.
You were important and everything you said needed to be heard. It became the norm to capitalize off your popularity and create a business off your personality, and MySpace helped catapult people into superstardom. Tila Tequila started branching herself as the queen of MySpace, landing her own show on MTV called A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila. Jenna Jameson started to break out of the adult industry and use MySpace as a way to grow her brand. Jesus, Dane Cook wouldn't be half as popular as he was if it wasn't for the website. He was the first comedian to use social media as a way to promote himself and used his MySpace page as a marketing campaign to reach a larger audience.
I mean, the OG gangster of it was Dane Cook. If you think back to, was it even like Friendster or MySpace? Yeah. He was the first dude.
He became famous through social media. And then everyone else around 2003 or 4, that's when we all started to jump in. Comics had MySpace accounts and comics had Facebook pages.
Now people wanted to be the most popular person on MySpace. Your number of friends became your number of followers. People were adding strangers online to their friends list for the sake of bumping up their numbers, and what better way to get people interested in becoming your friend than by making your profile the coolest profile on the internet. This was the default that profiles on MySpace looked like. A plain white background with some blue and black fonts on an orange highlight, which didn't appeal to a lot of the younger kids and teens. So when somebody found out that you could edit your profile and customize it by just entering a little bit of code, things went out of control. Just do a Google search on MySpace profiles and you'll find a plethora of customized pages that people made to give their page more pizzazz. Some were not very fun to look at, and others were still pretty fucking ugly. I cannot tell you how many times I stayed up working on my profile, changing the position of divs on a second page no one knew about before taking the code and pasting it onto my main profile. It was so much fun basically building a website about yourself, and all of your friends were going to see it. But if you didn't want to learn CSS, you could easily just go to any of the countless amounts of websites dedicated to copy and pasting codes for your MySpace page to make your profile pop a little bit more. Still, you had to know a little bit of coding in order to get rid of the pesky writing in the corner that said MySpaceLayoutsForFree.com. Just going into the About Me section and building your profile to reflect how edgy you were was the essence of the website, and after the birth of GeoCities, there was a surge of people wanting to learn how to start coding, and MySpace was there to help fuel the flames. Being able to customize your profile to your heart's content was awesome, but It was also a huge mistake. MySpace initially didn't want people to change the way their profiles looked. It was born from an oversight of their coding that allowed users to do it, but when they saw the feedback of how many people enjoyed the feature, they decided to keep it available and have it become an integral part of the website, which led to the fastest spreading virus of all time, the Sammy worm.
Just kind of sat in my chair, head spinning, like what do I do? The biggest website on the internet right now is down, and it's because of me.
In October 2005, a 19-year-old named Sammy Kamkar was poking around his MySpace profile trying to find various aspects of the site that he could exploit. Small things like letting him surpass a 12-photo upload limit or customizing his relationship status to whatever he wanted. Eventually, he discovered a vital security problem on the website and on web browsers pertaining to running JavaScript in their CSS to launch a cross-site scripting attack, or XSS for short. After finding out about it, he created a worm that he placed onto his profile. But it wasn't harmful. In fact, all it did was just add the person that visited your page as your friend and add a tag on their profile that said, "But most of all, Sammy is my hero." Initially, Kamkar thought that would be a fun joke between him and his friends, and by the end of the year, garner him around maybe 200 friends on his profile, leading him to delete the worm when people started to complain about it. So he posted the worm on his page and went to sleep. But when he woke up, Kamkar found out that the worm had already gained him 200 friends overnight. A couple hours later, it became 2,000, and then 200,000. And by the end of the day, in less than 24 hours, Kamkar had infected his worm onto over 1 million accounts on MySpace, completely shutting down the website.
If Sammy Kamkar plays his cards right, he may be allowed to visit MySpace again in just a few months. For the time being, however, he's not even allowed to touch a computer, following a 2007 guilty plea for creating what many considered to be the first Web 2.0 worm, the Sammy worm.
This was especially harmful because at the time, according to Kunal Anand, I'm sorry if I butchered the name, they had no idea what to do and had almost no security team at the time. In fact, most websites didn't even count a cross-site scripting attack to even be something worth investigating until the incident.
Sammy demonstrated what we knew, what was possible for a long time, but what the experts could never really convey on their own because frankly it was illegal.
In 2007, according to the Semantic Corporation, cross-site scripted attacks made up around 84% of all security vulnerabilities on the internet. Thankfully, the worm wasn't malicious, but it got people talking about XSS, and the Open Web Application Security Project, or OWASP, even created an API to help stop it called the Anti-Sammy Project, and since then, cross-site attacks have decreased to around 40%. It's still a pretty big number, but if it wasn't for Sammy, it could have been a lot more. This was before people were using different web browsers like Firefox and Google Chrome, and a majority of users were still using Internet Explorer at the time, leading to people exploiting the code available on the website in order to spread Trojans, malware, viruses, and spyware to visitors. From phishing scams to downloading adware toolbars, MySpace was a hotbed for malicious software. A lot of it was due to how many ads the website was pushing out and how unregulated those ads were. Some of the ads would install adware without the user knowing, one of them infecting over 1 million computers with the virus.
As you can see on the little window, Windows Internet Explorer notification is asking you to click to run an ActiveX control on this web page. Whether you click OK or the X to close it out, a file will be downloaded automatically to your computer and it's going to try to run. Right? Once I press on the X, check the task manager and there's a new file, info.exe.
And a lot of these ads came from a company called Zango, who settled with the US Federal Trade Commission for $3 million because of a lawsuit from users being tricked into downloading their copious amount of viruses being delivered through ads. Jesus, while making this video, I was using the Wayback Machine to view Dane Cook's MySpace page, and it would, no joke, try to make me download a QuickTime file. But this wasn't new to the owners of the platform. Remember how MySpace was created by a company called eUniverse? That same company changed their name to Intermix Media, who became the main focus of attacks to take down spyware with a lawsuit against the company. According to the book Stealing MySpace, one of the owners of Intermix, Brad Greenspan, who was also one of the founders of MySpace, apparently knew about the spyware their company was promoting, and in October 2002, an email was discovered where he laid out a 4-page business business plan for a spyware business called Operation Super Trojan. The goal was to deeply integrate on the user's desktop and in the browser to make money, and that each application should have separate installations so that a consumer that removes one application does not automatically remove other applications, making it so that they were not simple to uninstall. With Intermix being the founding company of MySpace, this gave the website even more bad publicity, and this was in 2004, 1 year before the company sold to News Corp for $580 million.
For the first time, we're going to hear from someone involved in the case, an exclusive interview with a young woman who says she created this page to trick a 13-year-old St. Louis girl who later killed herself. She and two others posed as a teenage boy and befriended the girl online, and then sent a series of messages that may have pushed her over the edge, she fears.
So many people have asked, where were the adults in this situation? Well, in an exclusive interview, the young woman who is at the center of all of this is speaking out for the first time and says there was an adult there, and worse, she was taking part.
We hear about kids cyberbullying, bullying each other online, but this was a parent bullying your daughter, pretending to be someone else? Why would she do that?
What's going on there? My daughter just Hey, calm down. What is going on there? My daughter just hung herself.
They did the long investigation. The FBI said that they couldn't do anything. The local police couldn't do anything. Nobody could do anything. It was just kind of our hearts were broken.
This is such a hard case legally. It's actually pretty simple morally. I mean, what Lori Drew did was appalling at any human level. But the question is, does the legal system have the tools to convict her for it? And I think that's very much an open question.
With the creation of Web 2.0, where people can put themselves out for the world to see, it's not uncommon to reach a new breed of harassment, except now it can be sent from a drove of people at an instant, and MySpace made it easier than ever. Before, if you wanted to harass someone online, you had to find personal information about them, their AIM username, their email address, their phone number, but with MySpace, you just needed to find their profile, and it was extremely easy to find. You knew their interests, who they talked to, what they looked like, how they felt about themselves. Almost everything you needed to harass someone was right at your fingertips at the click of a button. And in 2006, it pushed a girl by the name of Megan Meyer to commit suicide 3 weeks before her 14th birthday.
I just got an absolute horrible feeling, I don't know how else to describe it, throughout my whole body. And I took off running upstairs to Megan's room. I opened her door and I found her hanging in her closet.
Megan grew up battling depression and already had low self-esteem. And with what you know about the internet now, you can already tell that the advent of social media on this large of a scale was going to be a hard hurdle for her to get over. In middle school, Megan found herself bullied by the boys at her school for her weight and attempted to make friends with some of the popular women. However, the girls in her friend group started to turn on her, and soon enough, the harassment got even worse. And because of the harassment, Megan's parents decided to switch her over to a Catholic school in order to finish off 8th grade. This was around the time that Megan created a MySpace page, and it didn't take long for her to receive a message from a boy named Josh Evans. He was a 16-year-old homeschooled boy that Megan immediately began to have feelings for, and they would send messages to each other through the platform on a daily basis until one day he began sending her really harsh messages. The worst part of the entire story is that Josh Evans was a fake profile created by 3 women with the sole purpose of humiliating Megan Meyer. The profile was created by a woman named Ashley Grill, one of Megan's old friends Sarah Drew, and her own mother, Lori Drew. The mother, Lori, initially made the account in order to see if Megan had been saying things about her daughter Sarah, and the 3 of them would admittingly share the account in order to gather information about Megan and eventually push her to the point of suicide when they began sharing their messages with other people and posting the conversation on bulletin boards.
To understand why Josh Evans no longer wanted to be her friend had devolved into a barrage of insults with other kids joining in.
All of Josh's friends, all of Megan's friends, calling Megan a whore, a fat ass, calling her all kinds of god-awful names.
The last message sent from Josh Evans' account to Megan was, "Everybody in O'Fallon knows who you are. You are a bad person, and everybody hates you. Have a shitty rest of your life. The world will be a better place without you." Leading to Meyer eventually hanging herself in her bedroom closet on October 17th, 2006.
I always say the problem
with being on top, it's the only one way to go. You can't go up. What's your number one website in the world? All you can do is be number 2. You can't be number 1 or number 1 A+. This isn't high school.
In 2006, MySpace was the #1 visited website in the United States. Today, it sits below 2,000. Now it's more of a ghost town and has passed hands multiple times. From the $580 million purchase from News Corp in 2005, it then sold the company off in 2011 to Specific Media Group and Justin Timberlake for only $35 million. In 2016, it was then bought out by Time Inc., who was then bought out by Meredith Corporation, who's now trying to sell it off again. It's crazy to think that at a point, Facebook was looking to sell itself to MySpace for $75 million, but was turned down, and now Facebook has consistently been the 3rd ranked website in the world for the past couple of years. The entire story of the creation of MySpace can be almost narrowed down to a mistake and was handled the best that a company could, not knowing how much lightning they had captured in this glass bottle. Although being at the forefront of pioneering the way we use the internet nowadays, MySpace has gone into obscurity, a fad that happened in the 2000s that we loved and cherished, but was gone in the blink of an eye.